Alright, for this video we're going to take a look at, again, the Pico scope. We're going to set it up for a 2-channel. I'm going to take a look at the crank sensor and the cam sensor. I already have the Pico scope turned on. It's on with a single trace, and we'll go in a little bit later and change that. Some of the things that you'll need to make sure you hook up is the little blue interface right there. That's the magic of the Pico system. It allows you 4 channels. It's a simple USB hookup to the computer. And then we've got our 2 cables hooked up. You can see that I've got the red light blinking in there. Just indicates that it is communicating with the Pico scope software. Now let me zoom over here to the car. As I said, we're going to take a look at the crank and the cam signal. Fortunately for this vehicle, those guys are very easily accessed. You can see that I've got each one of the harnesses there T-pinned. That's where we're going to make the connections. So I'm going to pause the video at this point while I go make the connection, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You can see there my connections made at the crank and the cam sensor. I'm going to swing back over here to the computer, zoom in on that, pay no attention to the garbage in the background. That's probably as good as we're going to get right there. Alright, what I need to do now is go in and change the voltage setup. It's in the auto range. It's not seeing any kind of signal now, so it's doing its best to get something. So we're probably way down in the millivolt scale. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over and adjust this up out of the millivolt scale. Alright, it's auto. I expect to see somewhere plus or minus 5 volts, maybe a little more if it's a analog type sensor, but I'll start with that. Now I'm going to need also to open up the second channel. So as I showed in one of the other videos, I just come over here to the B channel, on or off. I'll turn him on, and we'll go again with the same plus or minus 5 volt scale. Alright, at this point I think we're going to go ahead and start the vehicle and take a look and see what we have there. Alright, I've got all kinds of stuff going on there. It's floating across the screen. So one of the things it looks like I'm going to need to do is to increase the voltage scale on my B channel, or the red trace there. And then I'm going to trigger on the A, or the cam. So let me do that. Alright, plus or minus 10 brings that in pretty nicely. I'm going to go ahead and also move the traces a little bit so they're not right on top of each other. I'm going to go ahead and move my blue, or the A trace, down. And I'm kind of happy with that. Now, if I wanted to, I could also decrease the volt spur, make him stand out a little bit more. See if we've got enough room to do that. Not too bad. You get a little bit of noise on there when I do that. I can either attempt to decrease that noise by putting a filter in place, but sometimes I'm not successful. That actually looks fairly well. So I'm going to put the filter in place. We're going to say OK with this. I'm going to bring the blue trace down just a touch more. Alright, I'm going to bring the red trace up slightly. Just a little bit. Okay, good there. Okay, now triggering. I'm going to need to trigger off of the, well, I should say it's my preference to trigger off of the sensor that has the least number of events occurring per revolution. Generally that's going to be the cam. If I'm really lucky, the cam will only have one tooth and it'll be simple. Each and every time I trigger it'll be the exact same picture. So I'm going to go ahead and we will trigger off of the red trace here. Sorry, my blue trace. As I find my cursor. I'm just going to go on a rising. I'll just do a regular auto. Okay, you can see we've got the voltage and time threshold here. I'm going to move him here so I get a bigger use of the screen. There, it's not too bad. Now you can see, it looks like I've got a place where there's a single tooth and then a double tooth. So I'm not seeing the complete revolution of the camshaft. So I'm going to go ahead and change my time. Typically, if I go to about 20 milliseconds per division, I will have 2 crankshaft revolutions and 1 complete cam revolution at idle. And that's pretty much what I have here. Now the nice thing with the Pico, it will allow me to freeze the screen. So I'm going to come down to this little red dot right there, and click it. Alright, now this is where we have frozen. And I should have 32 frames here, and I can page back and forth through those frames. Now, you can see from time to time we end up triggering on the double tooth or on the single tooth. Or in that case, if I wasn't sure where it wanted to trigger. But there it triggered on the single, and there it triggered on the double. It's something that I really can't control very well here because of, again, the voltage threshold. As far as the computer here goes, or the software, all it's looking for is a rising voltage through the particular voltage that I said. And we'll get that both with the single tooth or the double tooth. Now from here, if I wanted to, I could upload it so I can help other technicians that are looking for this. So I would call this a known good pattern. Something again that might be useful if somebody's looking to see if the Canon crank sensors are in alignment, proper alignment with each other. And that's all I've got for this one.